What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. It's hot, sticky, humid here today, and believe it or not, after all the rain we've had this summer, it is dry, and I've had to water a good bit today. We're going to be doing some more watering on this video. We got to check on our fall pumpkins, got to see how they're doing, see what kind of management we need to do to those as far as the ones we got with a cover crop, intercropped on them. Maybe we need to fertilize some of the others. So we're going to check on the fall pumpkins, and then at the end of this video we might try to make us a little homemade hot sauce. So let's start off with this plot here where we have 2 rows of pumpkin slash winter squash. We got the Tug River Cushaw, the heirloom Cushaw, and the black futsu on this row. And then over on this row, we've got those Igor or Igor jack-o'-lanterns planted. And for some reason, in this plot here, I didn't get as great a germination as I did in the other plot I'll show you in a minute. So I had to replant a little bit. I didn't have any more of the Igor seeds, so what we got is what we got there. But on this row here, we can see some of them coming up. They came up pretty good at the beginning of the row, but down there in the middle, there's some blank spots, and I had to go in there and replant them. We'll see what happens. Not sure why they didn't germinate. They had plenty of water. Don't really know what happened there. But you can see here our buckwheat that we have interplanted between these rows is blooming. Nice, pretty white blooms all over those. Pollinators really like this stuff. So we got to do something with this quick. Figure out what we're going to do here with this stuff that's growing between these pumpkin rows. So with this buckwheat, once it starts blooming, you see all those pretty white blooms all over it. You got about 2 weeks before you're going to start to get some viable seeds there. And if you're growing this in a field or pasture, you probably want it to reseed. But if you're growing it in a garden where you're constantly rotating and planting new things, you don't want it to reseed and become a weed. So we want to make sure we terminate it within 2 weeks of the flowers we see here. So I probably got another week to play with here. Now, how are we going to terminate this? Well, I can't tarp it because I got those pumpkins planted in between it, and I don't have 3 little slivers of tarps, and I don't want to cut up some of my big tarps just for this. So what we'll probably do is we'll come in here and mow this down. I'll take my 0 turn. I got a new little baffle kit on that so I can chop and drop, not blow it everywhere. So we'll mow it and just kind of drop all the vegetation right there in the garden. And then I'll probably have to cultivate it in the soil, so we'll probably till it one time, and that should terminate the buckwheat. Buckwheat's pretty easy to terminate compared to some other cover crops out there. Now, I wasn't gonna plant another cover crop in here, but I really am liking this idea and liking the experimentation of this intercropping with the cover crops. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate the buckwheat, like I said. We'll mow it, till it one time, and then right before these pumpkin plants start vining out, they haven't started that yet, they're just, you know, just got a few leaves on them. Once they start vining out, I think I'm going to plant a cover crop of iron clay peas in between these rows, just like you see the buckwheat here now. If we feed those pumpkins good, they should get taller than those peas, and I think it'll work out pretty good. We just got to time it just right. I can't really go in there and plant once the pumpkins are vining everywhere, so I need to do it before then, and need to do it so those peas are not going to be needing to be incorporated before the pumpkins are done. But I think we can time it just right, and I think it will work pretty well. So in between the time when the buckwheat's incorporated and when we plant the iron clay peas, I'll probably just wheel hoe this a couple times a week, work on my weed seed bank a little bit, try to get it knocked down, and then we'll come in there and seed those iron clay peas. That way we fill those gaps there and have some nice vegetation on the whole plot. Will it work? I don't know. Is it worth a try? Yeah. So that's our plan on that pumpkin plot. Now let's take a look at this plot here where we still have our peppers, but we've got a long row of these polar bear pumpkins. So there's our peppers over there, which look kind of scraggly because with the back injury I wasn't able to weave them like I should have. So they're still producing. Just not the prettiest row of peppers you've ever seen. But here's our polar bear pumpkins, and a lot better germination in this row here than I got with those other 2 rows. But since this is not shaded by a cover crop like the other one, this one's also drying out a lot faster. I did a little rescue watering earlier. They were looking pretty pitiful, so I turned the drip on, and that's a good indication. You can tell how dry it is when you can see that big a contrast between the color of those water spots and the rest of the soil. I did come in here and we cultivated this where this we had a bunch of this wheat straw left over from the tomatoes, and excuse me, it was either rake it all out so we could wheel hoe it and keep the weeds down, or just till it into the soil. So we opted for tilling it into the soil. Now we can wheel hoe this, work on our weed seed bank a little bit. I haven't thinned these pumpkins yet. I will soon. I like to let them get a little bigger so I can pick the best ones, and we'll thin them out to 1 every 2 feet or so. They've got plenty of room to sprawl here, about, I don't know, 7-8 feet on each side. Plenty of room to sprawl, and we'll just try to keep the weeds down in here before they start sprawling everywhere. And here, I think I'm going to do the exact same thing we talked about doing over there, because I got a bunch of those iron clay pea seeds that need to be used. They really don't hold over that well from 1 year to the next. So I think I'm going to intercrop this as well and plant some iron clay peas in here. I'm going to wait till those pumpkins start vining a little bit, but I had to go ahead and kind of till in that wheat straw so we could wheel hoe it and just kind of keep it in decent shape until the timing is right to intercrop with those iron clay peas. But I think it's going to work really, really well. We'll just have to see. Now, all these pumpkins, this row and the ones I showed you earlier, we probably should have planted them about 2 weeks before we did, if we really want to have pumpkins before Halloween, which is kind of the goal. If we don't make it, we don't make it. No big deal. But to make it, I'm really going to need to push these things. That means push them with water, give them plenty of water, and feed them really well through this drip tape here. Now, way back when we started this channel, I did a video telling you how my fertilizer program plan was going to be a little different. We're trying to get away from using as much of the blue stuff, the 20-20-20, using more organic options. And we've got a lot that we can use. Fish emulsion, we got some Agro Thrive stuff, and then we've got this 777 powder, soluble powder from Nature Safe that works pretty well too. And I used some of that on my tomatoes kind of late in the game. Saw some really good response with those tomatoes for an organic fertilizer. Seemed to work pretty good. So we're gonna have to push these guys. We're gonna push them with a variety of stuff. Like I said, the fish, the Agro Thrive, the 777, but we'll probably feed them once a week. Want some nice big foliage. We're combating disease and insect pressure, and also trying to get these pumpkins ready in time before Halloween. So let's go ahead and start feeding them today. Let's go over to the barn. We'll fill up our injector. I'll show you some of the 777 powder that we can dissolve through our injector. So here's that 777. This stuff is a really, really fine powder. I got a 50-pound bag of it. I keep it in a trash can underneath the barn and just kind of scoop out what I need. So this stuff is made from corn steep liquor, and it almost has the consistency of cocoa powder. And you can tell there's some sugars in there. It's kind of sticky if you get it on your hands. So my hands being kind of pasty and wet and sweaty, if I touch this right now, you'll see it'll stick to my fingers there. This is dissolvable. Doesn't dissolve quite as easy as something like 20-20-20, but pretty easy to get dissolved. And if you don't get it all dissolved, when you put it in the injector, that agitator will continue to kind of dissolve everything and get everything in solution so it can go through the drip tape there. So that's what we're working with today. The 777 here. And since this stuff is organic, it's hard to overdo it. Really can't burn anything with it. But I use about, I don't know, a quarter to a half of this big pitcher right here each time I use the injector. So let's fill this up with water, get this somewhat dissolved, and pour it in here. So I'm going to just let the water run kind of slow and kind of try to stir this in here. good as I can. Like I said, it doesn't dissolve as great as something like a 20-20-20, but you can get it dissolved. It just takes a little stirring. Just imagine if you were to take a whole thing of cocoa powder and add a little bit of milk to it, how much stirring you'd have to do to get it dissolved. Well, we're getting there. I have to be careful not to put too much water in there, because I'll end up with more solution than what can fit in my injector. I got it dissolved pretty good there. You can see, pretty good. There, just had to stir it around a little bit. Now we want to pour this in our injector here. Do it this way so you can see. And this stuff's got an interesting smell to it. It doesn't stink or anything. Get the rest of it dissolved here. There we go. We got the injector full. Now we just need to put a top on it and let it go. Oh, and I forgot. Let me pour a little bit of this out. I'm going to add some of this micronutrient stuff in here. And I had to make a little room in the injector to do that. I'll put a cup or so of that in there. And then we'll top it back off with water. There we go. And there you can see it's flowing. See that dark liquid there flowing through that clear tube into our water hose and on out there to the drip lines in the pumpkin plot. So I mentioned we were going to try to feed these pumpkins once a week, and it may not happen every week. If we get a bunch of rain, there's no need to water and really fertilize there, but we're going to try to inject something through there once a week and really push these guys. And we're going to alternate what we use every week. So we're using the 777 now, and then we'll probably do some fish emulsion. I've got some of this Neptune's left over, but I've got a bunch of this Brown's fish fertilizer, so we'll use up that Neptune's and then start using this. Probably run fish emulsion through there next time, and then got this stuff here, this Agri-Thrive, this water soluble, we can run through there as well. I've used the Agri-Thrive a little bit so far, really like it, looking forward to kind of using it more and adding it into the rotation. I do have a 10% coupon or a coupon code for the Agri-Thrive stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put that coupon code in the video description below, so you can head on over to their website, take advantage of that if you want to try this stuff. And I'll show you that 777. So I've been keeping all my organic fertilizers in these trash cans here, keep everything nice and dry. It's working well so far. But here's a 50-pound bag. I can't remember if Seven Springs carries a smaller bag of this or not, if it's just 50-pound. But it looks like a normal kind of feed and seed bag, but inside there, it's inside plastic, so you can keep everything dry there. And 50 pounds will last us quite a while, but the stuff really doesn't have shelf life. Should last a long time, as long as we keep it in that trash can and keep it dry. Alright, so the pumpkins are taken care of for the time being. Now let's gather some peppers to make some hot sauce. So I've got 2 tabasco plants here. One of them is significantly larger than the other. I say that. So there's the little one right there, and then this guy here is huge, and these things take forever to start turning because these were planted at the same time as all these other peppers, and we've been harvesting these a lot longer than these guys, so they take a while. And for making hot sauce, like red hot sauce, we want to wait till they turn red like that. Now you can take those little green ones and make some nice little pepper sauce to put on your collard greens this fall and winter. We'll probably do a little bit of that too. But today we want to get these red ones out of here. These orange ones and red ones. I can't reach all of them at the bottom there, but I think there's plenty there for me to get to make a little batch. Now it takes a little while to get a mess of these things right here. And a little trick when you're picking them, the red ones here, if you kind of squeeze them and pluck them like that right there, the whole stem will come off. You'll leave the stem on the plant and you'll just get your pepper. That'll keep you from having to remove the stems when you get inside. And you can kind of tell if they're ready or not. Some of these ones that are kind of lighter red or orange, they won't pluck off the stem as easy, and you probably just want to leave those on the plant. But if they pluck off easy, nice dark red, they're good to go. Takes a while to get a lot of them, and I don't have a heap of them, but I got enough there to get started. I'm going to try and do 2 mason jars just to start out. So let's go inside and we'll start putting some stuff together to make some fermented hot sauce. Alright, so fermented hot sauce, or what some people call lacto fermented hot sauce. Now, I got on a kick with this about 5 or 6 years ago. I had some Scotch bonnets, some chocolate habaneros, regular all different kinds. And I made lots of different kinds of hot sauces. Some of them turned out pretty good, some of them not so good. But it's been a while since I've made any, and just so you know, I'm a little bit of a hot sauce connoisseur. If I go into a store and there's a type of hot sauce there that I've never tried before, I'm buying it. I don't like super hot stuff, like not a fan of the ghost pepper stuff, but anything up to kind of a habanero level is pretty good to me. I'm more, I like the flavor more than just the pure heat. I can take some heat, but I don't want anything to do with that ghost pepper stuff. I've had a few ghost pepper hot sauces, and they're just not enjoyable to me. They can just ruin food, basically. So we're gonna start fermenting these Tabasco peppers today, and then we'll make the hot sauce when they're done fermenting. And I watched a video just recently that was done by America's Test Kitchen. That was awesome YouTube videos, and this guy was talking about fermenting hot sauce and giving some tips and stuff. I think it's only 5 minutes long. It's a really good watch. I'll put a link to that below in the YouTube description so you can go check that out. He does it without any fermentation equipment, just some Tupperware. But we're going to use some of the Mason Tops pickle pipes to do ours. So I've got my peppers here. Look at there. Those look nice. I just drip water all over the floor. But I got them rinsed off, so we're good to go. I'm going to show you how easy this is. Okay, so we're just going to start off with 1 quart jar here tonight. May do some more later. Got our peppers I showed you earlier, our Tabasco peppers. I picked out any bad ones, any ones that had any just kind of bad spots on them or anything like that. I got a little bit of garlic right here. I sliced thin some of our elephant garlic we grew. I've got my brine right here. Not a whole lot, but enough. The ratio on this is 2 tablespoons of pickling salt for 1 quart of water. I got 1 quart of brine here. Should be enough for a quart jar, right? So I'm going to start layering these peppers in there with a little garlic. I want to ferment the garlic too, because that'll give some good flavor when we do end up blending this all up. Now, 1 year I did this and I kind of chopped the peppers up before fermenting, but I'm not going to do that this time. We're just going to put them in their whole, and when we smash them down in there, that might bust them up a little bit. But the goal here is to get some nice kind of sour fermentation going on with these peppers. Some really good flavor, and make some really good hot sauce. We don't want to fill it all the way to the top. That's probably good. Take our little jar packer here. We can really smash those down in there. Get a few more in there. There we go. Get some of those juices turning loose in there. Then we're going to put our fermentation weight on top here. Just like that. Pour our brine in here until it's covering all those peppers. Don't need much. And then just put our little pickle pipe on top, so this thing releases right here. Just sits on top of the jar, and then screw the band on there. And that is it, folks. Now, the guy on the America's Test Kitchen video put carrots in here as well. He mentioned carrots had some really good flavor to fermented hot sauce. I don't have any carrots from the garden right now. I'm not a huge fan of store-bought carrots. But if I did have some, I would put some of those in there and give that a try. So we're gonna just go with this right now. This and the garlic, and then when we blend this up to make our hot sauce, we might add a few more things to it to give it a little more seasoning. He also mentions it's a good idea to add some xanthan gum. That gives hot sauce a little more consistency, doesn't make it as watery and runny, so it kind of maintains itself in a little drop there. So I'll probably go online and try to find a little bit of that to add as a final step. But we'll take this right here, I'm gonna put it in the dark little pantry right there. We'll leave it for 5 to 7 days, and then it'll be time to blend it up and make our hot sauce. So I hope you enjoyed getting the pumpkins fertilized with me, and also getting some peppers to make our own homemade hot sauce here. And if you're a lacto fermented hot sauce pro, I'd love to hear any tips, tricks you have, things to add in the final steps to make it really, really good. If you've got anything like that, put that in the comments below so I can try it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, like, and share, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell, by the beauty of your life.